Hey everyone, welcome back to Carrots and Olives. Today I'm going to do a chatty, currently inked video, and I have some new things to share with you. Of course, I picked the day of all days of when I have this weird nasally cold, but since I haven't talked in a while, you may not even realize. But I thought I'd start off with showing you the patina on my case from Galen Leather. This is the hard case and it was in the honey ochre. There is some scuffing on the edges here, and I've used this. I haven't taken it out of the house, but it gets kind of thrown around in my office area. So this is the patina. It is a really pretty patina so far. As you can tell, here is the original color, and I have had it since they released it. So I think closing in on a year almost, I want to say. But it's holding up really well. It definitely protects my pens, and right now I have been emptying out the case because I'm trying to decide which pens I'm going to clean and re-ink. So yeah, so this is how it's looking. I feel like the honey ochre patinas differently than the undyed. It has more of like a pinkish undertone versus some of the undyed leathers that I have like a yellow undertone. So it's patining like a kind of more brown to me than the undyed. Although this is probably not the best comparison because this is not the same leather that they use. This is a Travelers Company notebook, so they obviously use different leather. But I thought I would just share this because I know some people have been asking about the patinaing of some Galen leather products. So there's that. Okay, and I also want to share that I did get a couple of new things. One is a Franklin Christoph pen and case. So this is just a 3-pen case, and it's very identical to Galen Leather. I cannot tell you who came out with the design first, but this one has a clasp and it's not magnetic. And I don't think it's made out of real leather, but don't quote me on that. It does have 3 pen slots that do slide out, just the same as the Galen leather case. And I am able to fit large pens, something as large as a Twisty VAX 700, and it fits just fine. It's just the same type of sturdiness that you would get with the Galen leather. The sides are a little bit more soft than the Galen leather because the sides of the Galen leather are definitely harder. But it's definitely a cute case. It was about $35, so definitely reasonable in price. And of course, Franklin Christoph ships really quickly. Usually if you order at the beginning of the day, up to like noon, they will get your shipment out by the end of the same business day. I also decided to jump on their Model 19, which is one of their largest, I don't know if it's the largest, but one of their larger pen sizes, and it's larger in girth. And we are going to also do writing sample on this one. So this is my latest new pen, and I've had my eye on this one for a while just because I wanted something a little bit thicker so that I don't squeeze my pen so hard. Thicker pens kind of help me avoid like tightening my fingers and my hands around the pen. So that's why I had my eye on this, and then it popped up, and it came in a color that I would gravitate towards, which is the blue stripes, and so I jumped on it. And Franklin Christoph also always sends like a pouch with your order, and usually the pouches are made of leather, but I think they had some issues with customs or getting the material, so now they have a different material, which is just fabric, and it's still pretty nice and well made. So I'm happy to have a different type, because I think I have like 6 other leather pouches that are exactly the same, and now I finally have a different pouch. So I have pens in here. I have this pen, and then I have some pens in my Superior Labor pouch, and this is the one you can get from from Wonder Pen Co. in, is it Toronto? Somewhere in Canada. And I actually think other shops are selling it too now. This used to be an exclusive with them, but definitely check their site. I'm not sure if they still sell the exact same one, but there's others that come out, and they are exclusive to different shops around the world, and definitely keep an eye out on those. So I have a couple pens in here that we're going to ink up, and we are going to do the inking in my TN. So I'm going to ink it up in my my 013 insert. Yes, so this is the Tomoe River insert, the really thin paper, and I felt like that would be a nice representation of how well these inks and pens perform. Let's see. So I'm going to start off with the pen I've recently inked up. I brought out my Pelican again, and this one is in a broad. So I've usually been gravitating towards fine pens, but lately I've wanted something a little bit thicker just for a different style. And I'm just looking for let's take this. Okay. So this one is the Pelican M600, and it is in the violet and white stripe. And again, I said it was a broad. It is really juicy and really wide, and definitely has been something I've been looking for that is different than majority of the other pens I have. And the ink is the Pilot Iro Shizuku Ama-Iro. It's this pretty shading blue, and it just makes me happy. Okay. You do want to be careful when you have this type of Pelican that has white in the grip section, because it can stain and the barrel can stain. So I've stained the barrel somehow. I don't even know how. I think possibly because ink got into my cap, and the cap usually twists right around here, and that's where the ink just kind of sat there for a long period of time and stained my barrel. So it looks pretty when the cap is on, but when the cap is off, it does tend to bug me, and I haven't found a way to get it out yet. So I do want to start with this one. So this case is pretty new to me, and I'm realizing I'm having trouble getting this out. Okay, so I guess maybe it would be best to keep the clip on the outside of the sleeve. So this is a 2022 buy, and it is the celluloid version of a Platinum Century. Okay, so we call this the Platinum 3776 celluloid. I haven't been using it for a while, so I need to, it's going to drip on me. So this pen, okay, so I haven't used this pen in about a week, and I had to kind of twist the ink up a little bit so that it's a little bit more juicy. But if you haven't left it to the wayside like I did, you won't have any issues with the pen. I mean, that's the only thing I've noticed. There was a little bit of a hard start, so I just kind of juiced it up at the end of the nib so that I could write how it should when I show you. And I'm using D. Atramentis. Document ink. Wow. Document ink. And this is a fine. It wrote perfectly out of the box. Smooth with a hint of feedback, which is something I really like. And the nice thing about the celluloids is that they have a little bit more weight to them than the regular Platinum 3776. And this one is the color, the tortoise. I think it's tortoise. I'll just put T. But it's definitely a nice everyday writer. Okay, and I am going to do the Twisby. And I wanted to show you because the Twisby is so much bigger. This case does hold the Twisby in here because it's quite a big pen. Something I wasn't expecting when I got this pen in. This is my first Twisby VAC 700, and it's really long. Like, this pen is really fat, but this one is really long, and it does fit in that case. You can post it, but it becomes too much for me. And the cool thing about this one, beyond the color in the rainbow of the nib, is that this nib writes different, in my opinion, to the other Twisbys that I have. And I will show you in just a minute. So this is a Twisby VAC. $700R, and it's in the iris. This is actually an extra fine. It has a tad bit of feedback, and I am using this beautiful ink from Lennon Toolbar. And you probably remember this from my last Currently ink, but this vacuum filler has a lot of ink storage, so I'm still on the same ink. And it's called Atmospheric Color Firmament. And it's this beautiful shading. It looks amazing on cream paper. And I think I've showed you what it looked like in my last video. So on cream paper, it's such a beauty, this green color. It has a shading capability, and it has like this interesting gray tone to the green. And so let me leave that out. I want to show you this one. So this is the Twisty Eco Jade, and this has a very smooth writing experience. And I usually cap or post my caps because they, on the Twisty Ecos, just because they're so light. A little bit of a hard start. Twisty Eco Jade. And this is also an extra fine. So you can see a difference. And I think I want to say the difference is the ink, but I'm not 100% sure because I haven't had this Firmament Linen Toolbar ink in any other pen yet. That's also an extra fine, or more specifically a Twisty Eco. So I don't know if it's the ink that spreads out and makes the line a little bit fatter here, but most extra fines from Twisty are relatively like this fine. So this is a really smooth writer, and my ink is from Diamine, and it's called Bilberry. And I didn't think I would buy any more Ecos, but I do like how they come out with unique colors. And so this color I had to get because it was just, it looked really different, and I think it pairs perfectly with purple. Okay. So next is one of my newest pens. This is from Franklin Christoph. I might have a little bit of a hard start. I noticed that sometimes the nibs and the ink can dry up a little bit with some of Franklin Christoph's like twist pens. For me, they dry up a lot more on their push top pens, but it doesn't take much for it to get it started again. So this is the Franklin Christoph model 19. And this is definitely a comfortable writer because the grip section is quite large, which for me is something I like, although the threads don't really get in the way at all. And plus their threading from the ones I have are really nice and smooth. Have never been sharp at all. You can post it and it doesn't feel too back weighted, at least not for me. But because it's just so big, I choose not to, and it's still very comfortable to write with either way. So the nib is a Sig medium. And you can probably hear my kids arguing about video games. And it has quite a sharp like angle to this like nib, but it's really nice, and to me it's more of a, I guess like I feel like whenever I write with this, I feel like it gives you a more professional print, a more professional style to your handwriting. And then the ink I am using is the Lamy turquoise. And this medium is quite fine and sharp on the edges. So it doesn't look like turquoise. It almost comes out a little bit darker in this pen because of the nib. Okay, so let's go to my last few pens. I still have my Platinum 3776 Century inked up. This one's been, I've inked it up a couple times actually, just because I've really been enjoying it. So this is the Platinum. And I really want to jump out of my comfort zone and get more larger nib sizes in the Platinum line, because they offer a huge selection of nib options. I just haven't, I don't know, I'm just nervous that I'm going to get a nib I'm really not going to like, or I won't be able to use very often, because it would just be too big and just, it's more for fun than for anything else. But because I love Platinum, I think it should be worth it to have almost the whole line if you can. And I'm trying to do that. I just haven't done it yet. Maybe not this year, or maybe I'll work on it this year and try to plan it out a little bit better, so that I can somehow get all the nibs, but also get the pens in different colors. So this is the fine nib, and it's actually called the Chenonceau White. I think I'm spelling it right. And I have the same ink, Delamere Green. And it's from Diamine. I don't know what it is, but green and this white and gold is just like the perfect match. I never thought I'd be the type to just pick one ink for a pen and stick with it, but I think that might be the case with this pen. All right, so now we have a Sailor Pro Gear. I inked this up a while ago and forgot about it for a long time. And then I had to kind of quick start it with pumping in some ink. And so I figured, let's just share a little bit of hard start. Sailor. Pro Gear. And this is just in the green. And I have this in broad. and I love it. It's still not as broad as like a Pelican, but you can tell it's a bit different from a fine platinum, which is pretty close to a fine sailor. But this one has, I think it's organic. Studio. Aristotle. And it has that like blue to purple sheen to it. It has a weird angle on it, and I'm finding lately that my sailors haven't been making me as happy as some other pens lately. I don't know if it's just because I've been gravitating towards more smoother pens, and sailors are known for their for the ability to kind of write similar to a regular pencil. So it has kind of that tactile feeling to the paper. Although they are smooth writers, they aren't as smooth as others. So this one is, of course, my Coveco. And I've been noticing a lot of people with, sharing more Coveco sports and other Coveco pens on YouTube. And so I've bought this pen because of, we all know her by Adventure Denali. And yeah, so I had to get one, and I'm so glad because Coveco has made me a little bit nervous. When my very first experience with them, I had a dud nib, and I sold that pen, but I decided to try again with a different barrel color, and I went with the Nibsmith, who will grind your pens to your satisfaction for the most part before you get it. And when I did that, I had a well-working, writing, fantastic Coveco pen, and no issues. Now, when Adventure Denali talked about her brass sport and how it wrote perfectly out of the box, I had to get one. And I'm so glad I did, because she was right. My experience with this one was definitely different than my very first. And I don't know if I got lucky or if Coveco is really, I don't know, fixing their nibs or just paying closer attention to the nibs. I know they have a new nib out that is called their Supreme or something like that, but it's like tuned better, I'm guessing. So yeah, so this is the Coveco Brass Sport. And this is in fine. This is quite a heavy pen. If I had to compare it to all my others, this is the heaviest pen out of all the ones I've showed you today. But it has a nice feeling to it. It almost can write itself, in the sense that you don't have to press hard. The ink I'm using is Diamine Colt pens. And it's Little Bob. At least that's what I think it is. I kind of thought the Little Bob was a different shade, more a brighter red, but I think that's what it is just because it's in a fine nib, so it's not coming out how it would in a larger nib. But yeah, so this is pretty much the last of what I have inked up. I do have 3 other pens that I have to clean, these 3, and I'm going to try very hard to make sure I can fill or finish these these pens ink capacity and clean them out and move on to a new group of pens. So I hope you guys like this video. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. And one thing I did forget to say is that this model color is called Midnight Sky. And it has, one thing about the nib is that because it's so sharp, you kind of have to find the right angle for it. So when you're writing, otherwise it might hard start, or what you would think is hard starting, until you find the right angle. All right, that's it. I will talk to you guys in the next video. Take care. Bye.